Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the all Unison deck in Ultimate Squad Set 17, and that is going to be the new yellow Goku archetype. Pretty interesting to talk about because at first glance, a lot of people, and I don't fault you for this, think this deck is a giant meme, but I know a lot of high-level players, a lot of my teammates included, that see some potential in this deck. So we'll talk about that in today's video. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, many ways down in the description to do so. But if you're trying to step your game up, maybe learn how to evaluate decks like this and parse out whether they're good or bad, or step your game up in general, check out the Patreon down in the description. Lots of competitive articles there, and you guys can inquire about coaching if you are interested in that. Anyways, let's get started. All right, we have the leaders. So auto, add one card from life to hand. When this card attacks, look at the top 5 of your deck. Play up to one yellow Unison card with a specified cost of 1 among them with a marker on it in rest mode, and then shuffle your deck. So that doesn't give us a raw plus. Like, I don't typically consider adding life to be a raw plus because life is a finite resource, and when you run out of life, you lose the game. But a lot of the Unisons do actually draw cards, so we'll see that later. Awaken your life 4 or less, you may draw one card on tap 1 energy, and then on your awaken side, Goku Fearless Fighter. Auto once per turn, when this card attacks, draw one card, then play up to one yellow Unison with a specified cost of 1 from your hand with a marker on it in rest mode. So now we're drawing and playing Unisons. Activate main once per turn for 2 yellow. Place 8 yellow Unison cards from your drop area at the bottom of your deck in any order. Switch this card to active mode. It gets plus 10,000 power and double strike for the turn. So this is one of 2 ways, which we'll see that one in a second, that we're kind of like being able to combo, even though we're playing a lot of cards in our deck that don't combo. Now, keep in mind, with modern yellow, you're playing a lot of extra cards by default because 2 of your best defensive cards, Robotic Riposte and Goku Steadfast Assistance, they require you to have extra cards in your drop or your energy to become 1 cost, right? So you're already playing a lot of extra cards, and yes, they are activate battle extra cards. Oftentimes they actually give you combo power, but they cost energy, right? So having a lot of combos that cost energy is not always the best way to go about building a deck. And on top of that, in this deck, you're playing a lot of Unisons, but this is one of 2 ways again where we get some free combo power to kind of counteract the fact that we're playing a lot of uncomboable cards, if that makes sense. Anyways, active battle once per turn, Spirit Boost X. If it's your opponent's turn, for each marker you remove using this skill, this card gets plus 5,000 power for the battle. So again, another way to actually get some combo power while we're playing a lot of cards that are not able to be comboed with. So those are big pros to keep in mind there. Now for some of the Unisons. Yamcha Z Fighter, 1-drop 5k Unison. They all have empowered level yellow 2. Auto, if this card has 3 or more markers on it. When this card's played, shoot up 2 of your opponent's battle cards, switch them to rest mode. Interesting, I guess. Can do some cool stuff with that. Active main play +1. This card gets plus 10,000 power for the battle, so it can swing for 15. Plus or minus 0, draw a card. So probably the plus or minus 0 is going to be the main thing here. I mean, again, sometimes you can apply pressure with the 15k, but I mean, this is being played in rest mode off of your leader, so unless you're hard casting this, I don't know if you want to be +1ing it, but yeah, the draw card's definitely not bad, although it does kind of suck that it doesn't give a marker. Anyways, TN, if this card's 3 or more markers on it, when this card's played, choose one of your opponent's Unison cards and switch it to rest mode. So based off that auto alone, I can actually see this TN being a really, really good sideboard for this deck and maybe even other yellow decks, because being able to rest yellow Machikabura Unison and blue Boo Unison is really, really big because they're just like really sturdy, annoying blockers. So being able to tap them for 1 energy, or if you can pull off the Empower, is really good. Active main +1, shoot up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode till the end of the next turn. Not bad. Activate main -3, choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards in rest mode, and it can't attack until the end of the next turn. Also not bad, but again, the way this is all worded kind of says more like sideboard to me than mainboard. Krillin Z Fighter, 1-drop 5k, auto limit 1 if this card has 3 or more markers on it. When this card's played, shoot up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less in rest mode, negated skills for the turn. Lots of cool interactions you can get there as well. Activate main +1. This card gets plus 1,000 power for the turn. -3. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less in rest mode and KO it. So I do like that negating battle card skill effects. There are lots of ways you can stop that, whether it's your opponent's like floodgatey type of card or a card that can't normally be removed by skills or by battle. That's kind of cool. Anyways, let's move along here. We have SS Vegeta Z Fighter, 1-drop and power yellow 2. Auto, if this card has 3 or more markers on it. When this card's played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less in rest mode and KO it. And this card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. Auto limit 1. When this card's placed in a drop area from your Unison area, draw 1 card. So this is one of the main ones that's going to help us plus. So like this in Yamcha, for example, is going to give us 2 draws, which is kind of cool. Activate main, this card gets plus 6,000 power for the turn. Kind of funny how this one only gains 6,000, and it's only gonna be a 10k, so it's the weakest out of all the Z Fighter Unisons, even though it's Vegeta. He's a Saiyan, right? But whatever. Anyways, our main Unison for the deck here, where you really want to be juicing up full of markers, is SS2 Gohan Z Fighter. So we have Empower Yellow 3 blocker. Auto, if this card has 4 more markers on it, when this card's played, choose up to X of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, where X is equal to the number of yellow Unisons in your drop area, and KO them. So again, after you cycle a bunch of Unisons, this can wipe, 4 or more cards on your opponent's board, let's just say, which is, technically better than like a 2-drop Turles, can be equivalent in some cases to a 3-drop Trunks Unison, especially again because this deck revolves around cycling through Unisons, right? So that's good there. Activate main +1, draw a card. Activate main -3, choose one of your leader cards. This card and the chosen card get plus 5,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn, and this card gains triple attack for the turn. So you can swing with this to try and put your opponent down to 2. This is buffing your leader as well as your leader's own ability to give itself double strikes, so that's how you can kind of go for the game there, which is kind of cool. And then we have another SR for the deck. So we have SS Goku Final Sacrifice, 3-drop 15k counter attack, negate the attack and play this card in rest mode, permanent. If you have a yellow Unison card in play, reduce energy cost this card in your hand by 2. So this is live as early as turn 1 in this deck. Auto Spirit Boost 1, place this card in your owner's drop area. When this card's played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and switch to rest mode. Additionally, if the chosen card has an energy cost of 5 or less, KO it, then draw a card. So this card's really interesting to me. I haven't necessarily started messing with this deck yet. I'm probably going to start playing it this week, but this card doesn't really just scream 4 of to me. I mean, maybe in this deck it can be because it's pretty much always going to be a 1-drop, where other yellow decks don't really like always have Unisons in play. But I think this card's only as good as frequently as it can pop battle cards. I don't think necessarily just negating and then resting something is all that great, especially because good opponents can definitely play around it. But I think if there's just a meta where this can KO most things your opponent's attacking with, I think this card's a lot better. So that's just my 2 cents. I mean, maybe I'll play with it more and it'll just be that good all the time. That could totally be the case. Not opposed to that. But that's what I'm thinking about the card right now, especially when you're comparing it to a card like Robotic Riposte. Both being 3 drops that reduce to 1 cost, and Robotic Riposte putting more of a hindrance on your opponent overall than this card. But interesting to note though, this deck, like, going through so many Unisons is almost like unaffected by Robotic Riposte. If you can just, play Unisons and swing, play Unison, swing, play Unison, swing. That's kind of a cool thing this deck has going for it. All right, then for some battle cards, just gotta have some battle cards. Gohan Furious Training, 1-drop 4k. When this card's played, look at top 5, add up to 1 yellow Unison with specified cost of 3 or less among them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So our Archetype Searcher, but it only searches Unisons. But that's actually really cool because you can just look at all the other yellow Unisons in the game, especially ones that are 1-drop. So I know there's Android 18 and there's Bergamo and there's a few other ones that might work well in this deck because they're 1-drop Unisons. Your leader can play, this thing can search. That can be a cool synergy. Activate main limit 1. If you have 3 or more yellow energy and you place this card in your owner's drop, play up to 1 SS2 Gohan Z Fighter from your hand with 3 markers on it. So you can cheat that out for 2 energy if that's all you have for the turn. You want to save an energy. That's pretty cool as well. I do like that. SS Gohan Inherited Will, 3-drop 15k, barrier, auto limit 1. If your leader card's a yellow Goku card, when one of your yellow Unison cards is placed in your drop area, play this card from your hand. So you can trigger that yourself just by, playing a Unison over a new Unison. And this guy's got barrier, and then he's got the activate battle. Discard a yellow Unison from your hand, choose one of your yellow leader cards, Unison cards, and it gets plus 5,000 for the battle. So another way that we're able to, cheat the fact that we're playing a lot of uncomboable cards. This guy lets us combo with our Unisons essentially, which is pretty cool. Then we have 2 Trunks cards. So Trunks from the Future, 1-drop 4k, add 1 card from light to hand. When this card attacks, gets plus 11 for the turn. Auto at the end of your turn, switch card to active mode. So it's just a very generic like self-awakening option, and it is kind of cool that it puts itself back to active mode, so you have to really worry about your opponent just attacking into it for free. You can either combo it off, or hopefully it survives so that you can attack with it next turn and take more life. But yeah, I mean, there have been some cool decks that people are looking at playing this in, like Future Gohan Leader, for example, or even Golden Frieza, where this can take multiple life over the course of a few turns. So pretty cool thing there. I don't think this is like super vital to this particular deck, especially because your leader already self-awakens, but just a cool card to have in the card pool in general. But then we have SS Trunks Super Warrior, 3-drop 16k blocker. Auto limit 1 for a yellow. If your leader card's a yellow Son Goku card, or one of your yellow Unison cards is placed in your drop area, play this card from your hand. So same play requirement as the Gohan we read. Auto Spirit Boost 1, when this card's played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. So a 1 energy piece removal, definitely not bad. And one thing people have been talking about with this deck is the need or no need to play Turles all too easy. Now we have a Unison that comes down and essentially board wipes, and then we have this guy for 1 energy doing like, you know, half of what Turles does. So maybe you don't actually need Turles. I mean, I think the deck is going to take up a lot of space in terms of its own main engine, so that might just end up being the case, but at least there is a fair amount of removal. And nowadays, I mean, every yellow card printed KOs in rest mode, right? So just because you're not playing Turles doesn't necessarily mean your yellow deck is bad, at least for my first take on this. Then we have some extra cards to the deck. So first we have Instant Kamehameha. 1-drop counter. If your leader card has Son Goku in its character name and is attacking, switch one of your leader cards to active mode. It gets plus 5,000 power. It has its skills negated for the turn. This is super interesting. So note that it's not actually stopping any counters, but it's giving your leader another opportunity to attack with 5k more power, which is really cool. But you are losing your double strike for the most part. You're losing your ability to draw. Like, I don't think you also can't give it skills, so you can't like combo a Champa because it's just negated blank for the turn. But this is a pretty interesting card. I think this is pretty cool. You can activate this card's counter skill from hand without paying its energy cost by paying the cost for Spirit Boost 3 instead. Actually, you know what? One interesting interaction I can think about this is if your opponent uses one of the blocker negates, like testing the opposition, freeze armor reinforcements, you counter with this, especially if you can do it for free, which in this deck I think is actually going to be pretty easy. You get to restand your leader. Maybe they took themselves down to 1 life for that blocker negate, and if you have some way to rest the token, your leader's swinging for that final damage and you don't care that it doesn't have double strike. Like, that's a pretty cool interaction that I think this card can be useful in. I don't know if people will play it because it is a very niche scenario, but I think it's a cool card nonetheless. Anyways, Z Fighter's at the Cell Games, which is weird because they're not at the Cell Games in this scene, but anyways, activate main, limit 1. If your leader card is a yellow Goku card, look at the top 7 of your deck, then choose 1. Add up to 1 yellow sand with energy cost of 4 or less among to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Or play up to 1 yellow Unison with a specified cost of 1 among the marker on it, then shuffle your deck. I don't really think you're playing this card because we really don't want to make our deck too uncomboable. Like, your leader already fishes Unisons, and you're already playing a lot of uncomboable cards, so I doubt you're really playing this card in a more competitive build. But finally, we have the World Champion Strikes. Counterattack, your opponent may negate the attack. This is really funny. This is a lot like Commemorative Photo, just like a meme type of card they printed, which I appreciate them doing this. It's got really cool artwork and just going to be a collector type of thing, not really anything you need to worry about playing. But anyways, my thoughts on this archetype as a whole. Of course, its downside that you're playing a lot of uncomboable cards, right? And to be honest with you, the Unisons draw a bit less than I would have hoped. I think we saw a draw on on Yamcha and on Vegeta, and then some other effects that are kind of interesting on Krillin, Tien, and so on. The battle cards, I actually do think are pretty good. They're all cheap. They all let you cheat things in. They all let you cheat the fact that you're playing a lot of Unisons. So I think for what this deck is aiming to do, I think it does a good job of it. Do I think it's going to be better than Yellow Trunks or Sin Shenron? I find that hard to believe. Of course, like, there could be changes made on the ban list for set 17, but I doubt Yellow is on the radar for being hit as of right now. So assuming no changes happen to Trunks or Sin, I don't think they're going to, you know, be phased out by this deck. But I do think this deck is seemingly good at what it's aiming to do. And of course, tournament pack support can make this deck seem even better. We'll have to wait and see on that. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about this archetype. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.